Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and once again, welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. My name is Topher Smith, and today we're heading to Japan for the Autopolis Grand Prix. We've had this circuit before in the Group C Challenge in the Retro Racing Managers League, and now the Grand Prix World Series will take its first time around this tight, twisty circuit. We'll see how the cars cope with this one. But heading into today's race, after the last round in China, Callum Ilott leads the way in the League 2 driver standings, 139 points for the Carlin driver. Tomoki Najiri heading to his home race today on 118 and trying to close down that gap to Callum Ilott ahead of him. Alex Palou third in the Ram on 94 ahead of Nick De Vries in the Andretti on 90, 1 point ahead of Ryo Hirakawa in the Carlin. Jake Dennis sixth on 78 points, 5 ahead of Ritomo Miata, who finally took his first win of the season last time out in Zhuhai. Stoffel Vandoorne 8th in the Zach Speed on the same number of points as Kimi Antonelli in the Scuderia Coloni. And rounding out the top 10, Nick Cassidy in the Dome, 64 points for the New Zealander. And in the team standings, Carlin leads the way on 228 points, and they are the favourites for the title right now. They're looking set for promotion into League One at the very least. Andretti second on 186, and then Prema in third on 181. It looks like it will be those top three going up to League One next season. But anything can happen with the likes of Ram Racing and Dome still chasing them down in the points. Zach Speed sixth on 96, ahead of Scuderia Coloni on 79, 40 Corsi on 63, Downs on 53, Surtees on 40, Rial on 24, LaRousse on 6, and Tolman propping up the field on 5. And heading into today's League 2 race, we have 3 driver changes to bring you before we have a look at the qualifying results. The first of those coming at the Ram team, where Jack Doohan has been forced to vacate his seat as he started the real-life Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He has started his full-time Formula One career early and therefore is no longer eligible for the Grand Prix World Series. So Matt Campbell, who won the Dijon Bourgogne Grand Prix earlier on this season, will make his return to a race seat with Ross McGregor's team. The second change comes at the Scuderia Coloni team, where Toby Sowery has been dropped in favour of former Formula 2 champion Théo Pourchaire, who makes his return to the grid, having raced for Dams Vaillante last season. And finally, at the 40 Corsi team, Tazanapol Indrapuvasak will make his debut in the Grand Prix World Series in place of Zach O'Sullivan. The 40 Corsi manager, Dave Goddard, deciding to give Indrapuvasak a chance in the car to see how he gets on. And with those driver changes out of the way, let's have a look at the grid. And no surprises there. It is another Dome 1-2. David Yunt's team locks out the front row at the team's home Grand Prix, and he will be hoping that both of his cars can make it to the end today. Nick Cassidy on pole, ahead of Ritomo Miata, the Japanese, just missing out on pole at his home event. Callum Ilott third, within a tenth of the 2 Domes ahead of him. Louis Foster fourth in the Prema, a good result by him. Ryo Hirakawa, another Japanese driver on the grid today, will go from 5th in the Carlin ahead of Jake Dennis and Nick De Vries, the 2 Andrettis qualifying together. Tomoki Najiri, the third and final Japanese driver starting their home race today in the Prema, will start from 8th, but half a second behind Nick Cassidy's pace. Stoffel Vandoorne and Luke Browning make up row 5, while in 11th will be Pato O'Ward and Théo Pourchaire, qualifying 12th on his return to the grid. A fine effort by him. Paul Aron and Dennis Hauger give Tolman their best collective effort of the season in qualifying, and Michael Gillespie, I'm sure, will be hoping to score some points from there today. Victor Martins carrying on in the Zach Speed in place of Roman Friends. He qualifies 15th today, ahead of Kimi Antonelli, Jessica Hawkins, Abby Pulling, Colton Herter, and Alex Palou, one of our championship contenders, still having poor qualifying form this season. He will start from 20th today. And near the back, Matt Campbell makes his return in 21st place. Max Gunter 22nd. Tazanapol Indrapuvasak debuts in 23rd, with Matteo Caroli, Sarah Moore, and Alexander Rossi rounding out the grid. Rossi picking up a back of the grid penalty last time out. Well, that is your grid for the League 2 Autopolis Grand Prix. It is a tight and twisty circuit. Not that many chances for overtakes, so we'll have to see how many opportunistic moves there will be throughout the race. This is set to be an absolute barnstormer. Let's waste no more time and get down to trackside, where our commentator Tom Cairns is ready and waiting to call the action.
It's an all-dome front row on home turf here in Autopolis, Japan. Can either of them come away with another win to keep the team's hopes for promotion alive? The 5 lights are coming on now. 5 lights are on. Lights off, it's go in Autopolis. Cassidy gets off to a very, very good start. Miata not so as much. He's got Callum Ilott in the Carlin. Alongside, round the outside goes Callum. He's ahead of Miata into turn 1. So Ilott is up into second place behind Cassidy. So Cassidy leads. It's Ilott. Hirakawa has got the second Carlin up into third place. And that's Luke Browning off into the gravel trap. It looks like he's been hit from behind by someone. We'll get a replay to see how that played out. So it's not a good start for Dave Goddard's team. So you could just see Derry being strewn up in the air there. I don't know who's... I think that's one of the Andretti's whose rear wing has gone missing. Browning gets tipped into the gravel trap there. I think it was sandwiched sort of in between one of the rams by the looks of it. We'll get another point of view to see how that had happened. So it looks like one of the Zack Speeds has hit the back of Nick de Vries. And that will have been, by the looks of it, it might have been Stoff Van Dorn that had run into Nick de Vries. It is Van Dorn. So will it be Van Dorn picking up a penalty for it? We're going to get another shot of Van Dorn's view here. I think we know that it's Van Dorn that's run into the back of de Vries there. Did very well actually not to take him out. Otherwise, that would have been an instant disqualification and race ban for the Zack Speed driver. But what we want to see is whether who ran into Browning off the road. I don't think we're going to get it now, but Browning has got going again, and no action is going to be taken involving him and the driver who was involved in that incident. And for the other incident involving de Vries and Van Dorn, Stoff Van Dorn has picked up a 30-second time penalty and a back of the grid job for the next race in Sipoon in South Korea. I think another driver dropped down the order out of the top 15. That would have been Théo Pourchaire, who is competing in his first race this season. And Nick de Vries is off. It looks like the car is terminally damaged and his race is over. We knew he was without with rear wing, so we kind of knew it was going to cause a problem or two. And he was hit by the dams. And I think that would have been Pato Ward that had run into him. Or was that Colton Herter? We'll have a look to see. It was Colton Herter that ran into Nick de Vries. And will... Oh, you could just see he got tapped also by the ram of Matt Campbell, who's back in the car in place of Jet Doing. But de Vries is out of the race on the first lap in this Lead 2 Autopolis Grand Prix. And the stewards will share their verdict on the incident. And it's a one-race ban and a disqualification from this race for Colton Herter. That is subject to appeal. But as it stands, Colton Herter will not be competing at the next race in Sipoon, of which Danny Unkadeo will be back in the car for next time out. And then we see an overtake from Miata on his compatriot, Ria Hirakawa. And that is a move completed for the Dome to go back into P3. So it's 1 and 3 so far for Dome. But it's Callum Ilott who is making the most of everything so far. Moving up into second position from third on the grid. And is looking to build on it from here. .21 points was the gap going into this race between Callum Ilott and Tomoki Najiri. Najiri is way down the order at the moment in 8th place. And Ilott doing a fine job in P2, but there's a long way to go yet. .50 laps it'll be around this Autopolis circuit. Around about 225 kilometres is the race. See Ilott all over the back of Cassidy as they come around to complete the second lap. Now we're going to see an overtake from the Carlin in a moment. Ilott's right into the slipstream. He's going to go for it here. And we're looking at Louis Foster, who's trying to get through on Ria Hirakawa. But I can tell you that Callum Ilott is through on Nick Cassidy for the race lead. Callum Ilott taking over leadership in this Lead 2 Autopolis Grand Prix up the inside into turn 1. And that move was coming all along. It looks like Ilott is on a lighter fuel load than the two domes, which could well explain his early pace. We look at Foster, who is behind Hirakawa for position. So it's two domes and two Carlins in the top four. Now, Autopolis is the home of Super Formula, the F4 Japanese Championship and Super GT. The history of the Retro Racing Managers League, it also hosted a round in the Group C Challenge 4 years ago. So far, so good for Carlin. Whatever happens here, they cannot win promotion today, but a good haul of points would take them another big leap towards it. And Dome, they need to get both cars to the end, and high up in the order as well. With one of the Andretti's already out, they've got a great chance to close down the gap. Andretti came into the round second, 5 points ahead of third place Prema. Ram are 48 points off Andretti, and Dome were 49 points off Andretti coming into the round before Nick Cassidy got that all-important pole position. Got 3 rounds to go after Autopolis. We head to Sipoon in South Korea, Sepang in Malaysia, and it's Phillip Island in Australia for the final championship round of Season 4. We've also got the non-championship Macau Grand Prix, which will feature the top 13 highest scoring teams across the two leagues this season. As far as League 2 is concerned, the top 3 teams will go up to League 1 next season, and the bottom 3 teams in League 1 will go down the other way. There have been a few changes on the grid coming into the round. Matt Campbell back in the Ram, race winner at Dijon Burgoyne. Theo Boucher racing for the first time in the Coloni. He has raced before. It was the Dams Viant team last season that Porsche was racing for. Now it's Coloni. And there's also a debut in the Grand Prix World Series for the Thai driver, Taz Inthapavasak. And while I say that, we've got an overtake for 4th position. Louis Foster has passed Ryo Hirakawa, and it's easier said than done into turn 3, and that move was coming all along for Louis Foster. Nicely done. And now he can go after Nick Cassidy, who has been overtaken by Ritomo Miyata since he had lost the race lead. And now Miyata is the one on the tail of Ilott. And one team who are having a better race for once is Tolman. And while I say that, Cassidy's got a problem because he's dropping down the order and he's been hit from behind by the sole surviving Andretti of Jake Dennis. Now we're going to get a replay to see what happened. Cassidy picked up an issue, saw Foster and Hirakawa diving out of the way to avoid him, but Dennis just wasn't able to see him in time. In fact, you could say that Cassidy came back onto the racing line into the path of Dennis. So it's down to the stewards to decide what will happen with that. But Cassidy will not be impressed, and neither will Jake Dennis. No further action is taken, and Cassidy's problem is terminal, and it's his race over. A disappointing sight for David Yuntz. The problems continue to surround the team. And will that realistically end their hopes for promotion this season? Jake Dennis into the pits for a new front wing. He'll come back out in last place. Miyata taking the lead from Mikhailo Ilott. Very, very nicely done from the Japanese. We're going to see the overtake into turn 3. Miata on the inside. And what a move. You can tell by the pace of what he has shown so far. Whilst one dome is out, the other is into the race lead again. This time it is Ritomo Miata. Race winner in Zhuhai. Gone in for 2 wins in a row. Something of which no one has been able to do this season. We're now on lap 6. Miata leads, Ilott second, it's Foster, Hirakawa, Nijiri, Van Dorn, Victor Martin running well again in P7. Then it's Paul Aron in 8th position for Tolman, and his teammate Dennis Hauger in 9th place. What a start for the Tolman team, who have picked up only 5 points all season. And they're hoping to end their campaign with these run of races with a better showing than what we've seen. And you can just see Paul Aron right behind Victor Martin. You can just see Alex Palou further back, going for it on Dennis Hauger for 9th place. Further behind we've got Luke Browning, going toe-to-toe with Matt Campbell, 4th position. The battle for 19th. You can see Browning on the inside of Matt Campbell, and that's P19 coming in the way of him. And there's also an overtake for what looks like Alexander Rossi on Taz Inthapurvasak. Inthapurvasak losing a place there. He's got quite a lot to learn so far as the Grand Prix World Series is concerned. Alex Albon is the other Thai driver to have raced in the Grand Prix World Series before, in Season 2. Ritomo Miata coming through the last couple of turns. There are 18 corners around this clockwise circuit. Now, Autopolis is based in the Kamitsu village in Hita City in Oyita Prefecture. So good to see what side of Japan it's located, but we'll come back to it a little bit later. Paul Aron going through on Victor Martin for 7th place now. It gets even better for Michael Gillespie's team. You can just see the top 3, all in different cars. Miata in the Dome, Ilott in the Carlin, Foster in the Prema. It's Ryo Hirakawa. Oh, there's Nijiri off, losing it on the curb. And the front wing is gone on the LaRousse, and that'll be an early trip to the pits for the Italian. And there is Caroli, who's behind the Coloni of Teo Borcher. Made a mistake, got on the curb too much, and hit the wall, and very lucky not to lose a wheel whilst bouncing back onto the racetrack. Antonelli locking up just in front of Colton Herter, who's carrying a disqualification over him for taking out Nick de Vries on the opening lap. Now behind Herter is the Real of Max Gunter, and there's a yellow flag, and it's Ryo Hirakawa who's off. He's picked up a problem. That's one of the Carlins out. You can just see, oh, he's just lost the front wing and the rear wing whilst pulling off there, but Hirakawa's race is over, out from 4th place. Now it's playing into the hands of Dome a little bit more now. Certainly playing into the hands of see Alex Palou in 8th place now, behind Victor Martin. And all of this has allowed Paul Aron to go up into 6th place. And bearing in mind, Stoffel van Dorn, who is in 5th position, has that 30-second time penalty carrying it over him, which would allow Aron to go up into 5th place. And goodness knows what could happen to the leaders, given how many of the top guns have already dropped out of this. And then we see a move from Abby Pullin on Pato Award for 14th position. Caroli comes into the pits for repairs. It'll be a long race for him from that. You see Jess Hawkins. Oh, she makes contact there with Dennis Hauger, and she has gained the position by making contact with the tollman. And I'm pretty certain that she's going to get a time penalty for that, because that is not within the rules to run into someone and then gain the position as a consequence. Hawkins goes through. Hauger will be livid with that. And confirmation from race control, it's a 10-second time penalty for Jess Hawkins for causing the collision and gaining a position as a result. 9 laps completed. Rito Miata still in the lead by 2.5 seconds and pulling away from Callum Ilott. Louis Foster is 3rd, and you have to go back another 8 seconds to Tomiki Najiri in 4th place. And there we see Kimi Antonelli heading through on Dennis Hauger. Antonelli up into the points now. With Nick de Vries out, that is pretty much his championship hopes over. The same for Ryo Hirakawa. Jake Dennis, you probably have to say as well. If Ritomo Miata wins the race, it will keep his slim hopes alive, and I do mean only slim. He's got to hope that both Ilott and Najiri hit trouble at some point in the race. Alex Palou is still in the run-in for the title pretty much, albeit he is 45 points off the lead with 4 races to go, including this one. He needs the top drivers, Miata, Ilott, Foster and Najiri, to all hit trouble pretty much for him to gain ground. Not too far away from pit stops at the moment. Some drivers will do the 2, others will do the 1. In regards to who will do what is uncertain. But given the pace we've seen from Miata so far, maybe from Ilott and Foster, I think we are inclined that they're going to be doing the 2 stop. The question is, how much time do you need for a pit stop round here? There we see Colton Herter, who's behind Dennis Hauger. He's desperate to get in front, although it probably will be irrelevant, given he's got that disqualification carrying over him. Or hanging over him, I should say. Rito Miata became the 19th different race winner this season at Zhuhai. He is hoping to just keep going and keep down in the hunt. There is Foster behind Ilott now. He's desperate to get an overtake done in the near future, and he may well do on the pit straight when they come round to it. So Van Dorn has got a 30-second time penalty. Jess Hawkins has a 10-second time penalty. Colton Herter has a disqualification. As far as everyone else, I don't think anyone else has picked up a penalty. Jake Dennis down at the back, as is Matteo Caroli. As it stands, Aron would finish 5th, Palou would be 6th, Martin would be 7th, and it's Antonelli who would be promoted to 8th, Dennis Hauger 9th, and I say Dennis Hauger would be 9th, Kurtz has just gone past him, but Hauger would still be 9th, and Max Gunter would be in the final points paying position. There's still a long way to go. A long way to go. Now, are we going to see an overtake from Louis Foster on Callum Ilott? There is a chance here that the Brit could make a move in the near future. He stays behind the Carlin for now. Now, last season's Japanese round at Fuji, Dome won the race with Kamiya Sato. We are seeing Alexander Rossi stop behind Abby Pollin, who's just been overtaken by Taz Infoprovasak. I just wonder, maybe has she got a problem of her own? It doesn't look like it. And now further back, this is the battle for P2. And Foster can't find a way through just yet, but he might be able to do it into turn 3 if he gets a strong exit. Now, will he go for it into turn 3? There he goes, look, on the inside, Louis Foster. Oh, Callum Ilott, and a brilliant overtake by the Prema. Louis Foster is through into second place for Prema, to the delight of Alex Johnston, for more reasons than one. It's less points for Ilott in the race for the driver's title in League 2, given his battle with Foster's teammate Tom Cairns. And you have to say, Foster deserves to get through there because he had been hanging behind for so long. Luke Browning going through on Pato O'Ward for 17th place. And O'Ward, who's having a season to forget so far. It's not helped by the fact that his teammate has got that disqualification for this race and a potential race ban. But Foster doing a fine job. Miata's lead is 5 seconds. Will Foster be able to get the gap down? There you can see Sarah Moore clipping the grass there on the exit. Just looking to see where he made the mistake. And I think he probably did that on the exit of turn 11. But there we see Miata, the only dome left in the race. Nick Cassidy already out. That is the 9th time this season that Nick Cassidy has failed to make it to the checker flag from 13 starts. See Ilott in P3, who is 11 seconds clear over Tom Cairns. I suppose if he finishes ahead of him, that's all what matters to Carlin today now. Ilott extended the margin by 3 points over Najiri in Zhuhai. Set to do that again here. Fourteen laps are done now. Miata managing the gap. Foster not giving up, and neither is Ilott. We're looking at Taz Infoprovasak behind Max Gunter. He's in a Real sandwich, is the Thai driver. And now he's lining up Gunter for a pass. He's going to go to the inside here. And Infoprovasak is through and up into 13th position in the 40, in place of Zach O'Sullivan. According to Dave Goddard, it's just for this round that he's going to be doing this start. Whether he'll be in the car for the rest of the season, who knows? That's down to the team manager to decide on that. Season 5 calendar sees the championship go to the Caribbean. It's off to Brazil at Campo Grande at a new circuit. Followed by La Plata in Argentina, Indianapolis, USA, Rockingham, Great Britain. The UK returning to the Grand Prix World Series. Not hosting one in Season 4. It's off to Dijon-Bourgogne in France, Jerez in Spain, Mugello in Italy. It's Hockenheim in Germany for round 9, which will also be the venue for the mid-season test. And we go to Poznan in Poland, Brno in the Czech Republic. And we go to Parnu in Estonia, Marrakesh in Morocco, Kyalami, South Africa, New Delhi in India, Fuji in Japan, Sepang in Malaysia, and the 18th and final round will be in Adelaide, Australia. And straight after that, we've got the non-championship Macau Grand Prix, once again wrapping up the season. Well, we can't be too far away from pit stops now. I would probably say we expect at least 1, 2, maybe even 3 coming in at the end of this lap. Will be in no rush. The one thing he'll be thinking about is where will he feed out in terms of the traffic. We've got the race leader in at the end of lap 16, which is Ritomo Miata. He's in, and I think Ilott, has he gone through? He's gone through, has Ilott into second position. Where will Miata come back out? I think it's quite a long pit lane, it has to be said. Probably maybe about 28, 29 seconds, maybe. He's behind Najiri, he's behind Van Dorn. He is coming back out now. We've got the 2 Reals battling amongst themselves. There is Miata, sandwiched in between Herta and Martin. I don't think it's going to be too long before he gets through on the dams. There he goes, look. Now, just working out the gap, because he was about 5.5 seconds ahead of Foster before he came in. I'm just waiting for the set to times to update. You probably need around about 33 seconds for a pit stop round here. That's a very long time. There are a lot of corners around this course, so if you are on fresh tyres like what Miata is on, you could probably gain a lot of time over the course of a single lap on fresh tyres. And there we see Lou Foster coming in from the race lead. What does Ilott decide to do? Does he do the same? No, he's staying out for another lap. So we've got another different race leader in Callum Ilott. Najiri will go into second place. And there we see Alex Palou, who is just ahead of Jess Hawkins. And I think Palou got a really poor exit out of the last corner, and that was quite an easy overtake for Hawkins to make. Well, there is Foster coming out of the pits. Alexander Rossi comes in for Real. Najiri in second place for Prema. And Foster is behind Gunter for position. Miata's back up into P7 behind Alex Palou, but he's only 0.6 behind him, so we expect an overtake from him in the near future. Van Dorn in P3. And it's Paul Aron and Jess Hawkins. Alex Palou ahead of Ritomo Miata. Alex Palou, who had led the championship in the first part of the season, has dropped away since then. He's aiming for a better result today. Third in the championship coming into this race. see Ilott, who's 14 seconds clear over Tom Cairns. He's continuing on for another lap. Is Ilott, so I would probably say he's inclined to do the one stop. We've just seen an overtake from Miata on Alex Palou for position, and I don't think it's going to be too long before he gets to Ron Hawkins as well. There goes Miata, picking them off one by one. We've got more pit stops going on. Herter is in. I think someone else was in as well. Didn't quite pick up who it was. There we see Stoffel van Dorn in third place, ahead of Paul Aron, who's having a very, very strong race so far. And there goes Rossi on Herter, who's just come out of the pits. And those two will have been fighting over last position. There we see Callum Ilott coming round to complete his 19th lap. He stays out there. There's Miata, who's behind Aron now on the pit straight. He'll go through and has set the fast up of the race in the process. He's pretty certain he'll keep hold of that now. For this race, Will Miata, he's got a point for it. Nick Cassidy already has the point for pole position. And there we see a battle going on between Sarah Moore, Jake Dennis and Patra Ward, as Abby Pulling comes in for LaRousse. She will drop to last place. There is Dennis Hauger, who's in a fight with Louis Foster. Louis Foster has already stopped. Dennis Hauger hasn't yet. We're looking at Teo Porcher in the Coloni. He's running in 17th position. Ilott in the lead on lap 21. 15 seconds clear over Tom Cairns. And Miata is right behind Van Dorn for position. We are looking at Kimi Antonelli. Looks like he's going to be the one of many doing the one stop. What will the gap be between Van Dorn and Miata? The gap was 9/10 at the beginning of the lap, but I'd imagine that Miata is going to be right on Van Dorn's tail now. In fact, he is. I expect an overtake in the near future. O'Ward going through on Porsche. It's for 16th place. The two LaRousse cars are at the back, hoping for much more than this, but their rivals, Tolman, are having a brilliant time of it. Paul Aron in 5th place. Louis Foster at the moment is really struggling to make his way through back through the field after his pit stop. He's been stuck behind Dennis Hauger for a period of time, and now he's on the tail of Kimi Antonelli almost. And there is Van Dorn ahead of Ritomo Miata. He's trying to make the two-stop work. He'll go for an overtake on Van Dorn, I should think, down the pit straight, if not into turn 3. I think Miata, don't think he's in front of Van Dorn just yet. He may be able to do so into turn 3. Hope to go to the battle in a moment. There is Najiri. How far is Miata behind Van Dorn? He's He's right on his tail, but he's still not ahead of the Zach Speed. Van Dorn, just to remind you, does have that 30-second time penalty for running into Nick de Vries at the start. And as it stands, he'll fall out of the points comfortably. Jake Dennis in 14th place, after needing to pit in for a new front wing in the early stages. Miata is still behind Van Dorn for position. How long will it be before the Japanese gets by? This is playing into the hands of Carlin and Callum Ilott. He's not had to deal with traffic since he got by, well, the likes of Miata and Foster, as both of them came in for their first pit stops. Ilott is determined to do the one. Going for it now on Van Dorn on the pit straight. Is he through into turn one? He's not quite there yet. Oh, he's off the track. And the front wing is gone on the dome. A terrible mistake by Rotaro Miata, who tried to get through on Van Dorn round the outside. Oh, he just lost it by himself. Got over the curb too much. And the front wing has disappeared and disintegrated. Not what the team needed. The pressure got to Miata to get by Van Dorn. And he just thrown it away there, unfortunately. That'll be him off into the pits for a second pit stop. Don't know how much fuel he put on board there, but I imagine he'll be in the pits for a third time later because his pit stop will be quite far away. And Hauger's front wing is gone as well, and he's done it at turn 3. Luckily he was lucky not to take out any of the other drivers rejoining there. Victor Martin and Luke Browning were the ones having to dodge out of the way. But Hauger's brilliant race has unravelled. And that's really disappointing for Michael Gillespie, no doubt about it. I think he was close to doing his pit stop anyway, so that'll be him taking the opportunity to get that done now, but he'll have lost time en route to the pit lane with no front wing to his wagon. So Miata will be in the pits, as will Hauger. Ilott coming round, still in the lead and staying out. Najiri in second place, carrying on, and there is Miata still struggling around with no front wing to his car. There goes Jess Hawkins round the outside, and the next cars behind him are Louis Foster and Kimi Antonelli, and he's got to be very careful here. He comes into the pits at the same time as Alex Palou. Now he's got 11 laps left on his fuel gauge there, Rotaro Miata. So will the team add fuel to the car, or will it decide to say, well, we didn't quite see whether that would be the case. But Miata is into the pits to get the problem amended. And his chances of victory are most certainly gone now. And Foster, well, he may be happy to see Miata run into trouble, but he's not happy being stuck behind the colony of Kimi Antonelli. He's now 33 seconds off the lead of Callum Ilott, who's still yet to come into the pits. Rotaro Miata will rejoin towards the back of the field. I think he's ahead of the two LaRousse cars, but he's got a long way to catch up now. He might still be able to get back into the points. That is as good as it will get, and it will most certainly be not good as it will be for Tomoki Najiri with mistakes like that. And the front wing has gone from the car. Najiri going for a spin into the gravel trap. And that is not what Prema need at this moment in time. And at least he's not far away from the pit lane, but he's stuck in the gravel trap. Is the home hero. Now he's having to wait for number of cars to go through before he can rejoin safely. And we've got Jess Hawkins into the pits, the same for Kimi Antonelli, so that at least releases Louis Foster. Luke Browning also in, Max Gunter in for Real. And Najiri gets back on the racetrack now. He's ahead of Alexander Rossi, but he'll need to come in. And all of that drama has allowed Paul Aron to go up into third place. And we've just seen Alex Palou being overtaken by Ritomo Miata, who'll be on fresher tyres. Or will he? Oh, he had to duck out the way there. That was Jess Hawkins coming out of the pits, and that was so nearly an airplane accident. Well, what looks like a routine overtake for Miata has turned out to be something rather more unexpected than that. He had to slam on the brakes to avoid running into the Surtees that was coming out of the pits. Najiri rejoins the race now in last place and a lap down. And all of this is playing into the hands of Callum Ilott. There's Jake Dennis up into 6th position in the Andretti, recovering very, very well. Van Dorn comes in for his only stop for Zach Speed, likewise for Paul Aron. This allows Louis Foster to go back into 2nd position. And Victor Martin is up into 3rd place. Jake Dennis is now 4th. And Alex Palou has spun into the gravel trap for Ram. That looks like turn 11, where he's lost it, unless it's 12. It's not 11 or 12. It'll probably be the next corner where he's made a mistake. It's not 13. In fact, he's clipped the grass on the inside of turn 14. And it's going from bad to worse for Ram at the moment, as Palou gets back on the track, doesn't lose as much time as Najiri. But all hopes of a good points finish may well be gone. Sarah Moore has come into the pits for Surtees, so she'll rejoin down the order. Here we see Max Gunter going for it, and this is with Matteo Carola that he's got through. Louis Foster in 2nd place now with clear air. But all of that battling with the drivers, of which are out of sync with him, has cost him a bundle of time and has played into the hands of Callum Ilott, who's in now. At the end of lap 26, Victor Martin in P3. As far as I understand, he's still yet to stop. So he stays out there. Louis Foster will go. He's still in 2nd place, and Browning off the circuit, and the car is badly damaged there, but remarkably, it's not terminally wrecked. So many drivers making inexplicable errors so far today. Yeah, just went in too deep and was very lucky that it was just the front wing that fell off and not any of the wheels for the young Brit. He's going to make his way back onto the circuit now in 22nd position, and he'll be back in the pits for a new nose cone. See Callum Ilott, who's just been overtaken actually by Louis Foster, but don't think it's going to be too long before he gets him back. A new fast lap of the race from Ritomo Miata, who is in 13th position behind Paul Aron. Just waiting for the gaps to update. But Ilott is now behind Foster. They're on different strategies, these two, so we expect Ilott to take back the lead in the near future. Browning comes in for a new nose section. We see Sarah Moore ahead of Dennis Hauger now. right on board with Callum Ilott, who's going for the lead here of the Lead 2 Autopolis Grand Prix once more. He goes to the outside of Foster. And he is through by the looks of it. No, Foster holds on for now. Oh, Ilott nearly got on the curb there. Had to lift off the throttle. Jake Dennis comes into the pits for Andretti. It's his second stop of the race. And Ritomo Miata has hit trouble by the looks of it. Can he get the car back to the pits? I don't think he can. It's race over for Dome. And their hopes for promotion this season are very much dashed now. Even with what they come away with today, they are surely now no longer in contention. Ritomo Miata retires from the Lead 2 Autopolis Grand Prix after being in the lead for a while before he had hit trouble. So Victor Martin remaining in P3. What a race he has had so far. The young Frenchman. Formula 3 champion in 2022. So a tough couple of years in Formula 2, but it looks like he's going to remain in the series for another season. Now we're looking at Ilott going to the inside this time on Louis Foster. And that's the race lead going in the way of him. Ilott back into the lead of the Lead 2 Autopolis Grand Prix. All he needs to do is keep the car on the track. Fitzmaster coming in from third place. Colton Herter is also in, I think. No, he's not. It's his teammate Pato Ward that's in. Théo Pourchaire in as well. So we've lost Miata, Hirakawa, Cassidy and De Vries from this race so far. Four of the top guns who could have been coming away with the victory today. Then we see Abby Pullin just going through on Victor Martin, who's come out of the pits, but will be on fresher tyres. Up into third place now is the 40 of Taz Inthra-Puvastak on debut. I never thought I'd be saying that, but he's doing a remarkable job. Podium finisher at the Hungaroring in Formula 3 this season. He'll remain in Formula 3 in 2025 as well. Looking forward to see what more he can produce. Alexander Rossi up into fourth place for Rio. Colton Herter has got that disqualification hanging over him in fifth. Van Don has that time penalty, so that will promote Paul Aron up into fifth place. You can see Herter and Van Don are battling amongst each other. Jess Hawkins has a time penalty of her own as well, which will promote Kimi Antonelli and Jake Dennis, and Matt Skunter will also go up. And Victor Martin, given how his race has gone so far, he'll most certainly get up there into the points. .6 seconds is the margin between Ilott and Foster. Foster will be in the pits again before this race is over, but he needs to build the gap over the traffic to ensure he doesn't get stuck when he comes back out. So victory may be a long shot for Foster, but second place is very much on the cards. And then we just see Théo Pourchaire go through on Dennis Hauger, and that was too easy of an overtake from Pourchaire, and Hauger may well be pulling out of the race here because he is not going very fast. Puvastak goes down the pit straight, still in third place. It looks like it's going to be on the 2-stop. Herta and Van Dorn are still going at it. And Van Dorn goes through it last, before the first corner. Now, did Dennis Hauger get back to the pit lane? I'd like to think that he has done. He's outside the top 15 right now. And Palou has just allowed Sarah Moore to go through. It looks like he's hit trouble as well. And the bad news for him is that he's got to do a whole lap pretty much before he can come in. Hauger did make it back to the pit lane. That'll be some form of reprieve for Michael Gillespie. Porsche goes through as well. I think Alex Palou may well be pulling off here because he's not going fast at all. "19 laps remaining as Foster puts a lap on Hauger, who's only just come out of the pits. 22nd and last place now is Hauger. He has shown some strong pace over the course of this round so far. Now we see Matt Campbell, who's we've not spoken at all really today. Goes through on Palou. Ward goes through on Palou, and Palou will be into the pits at the end of this lap. Any chance of points are out of the window for Palou, and it's an electrical problem that sets him back even more. Pubersac still in P3 ahead of Rossi. We've got Van Dorn and Herta on the road in 5th and 6th. There we see Hauger nearly running into Palou as he came out of the pits. Behind Palou is Tomoki Nijiri, who's trying to make up for lost time as well. In fact, it's Luke Foster. Oh, that was very nearly an accident involving the driver in second place and Alex Palou, who came out of the pits. And Hauger, well, he just took advantage of the open door and went with it. He's on fresher tyres compared to Foster anyway, so it's going to give him the hand to just get on with his own race now. And you can see Foster going back through on Palou. Don't think any action is going to be taken on the incident, and there won't be. You see Herta fighting back with Van Dorn as we see Ward getting out of shape a little bit. He lost it by himself really. It didn't involve any other drivers. Now coming round to complete the 32nd lap. Now Foster's gap over Intha Puvasak is nearly 23 seconds. I did say you probably need about 33 seconds for a pit stop round here, so Foster's not quite doing enough. And the fact he got held up by Alex Palou at pit exit has not helped his cause one bit. Goes Palou on Foster on the pit straight, and that's to unlap the Prema. Palou is on fresher tyres after all, and he is allowed to do that. This is really not helping Foster's race at all. He's been rather livid with the way Pelot held up on him, but you can't necessarily blame Pelot for coming out of the pits. He was just minding his own business. You see Victor Martin going through on Max Gunter for P11. He's not having to do much overtaking at the moment for Martin, but that's what he would have wanted. And we see Luke Browning spinning again. Don't think that involved any of the drivers really. In fact, he had Callum Ilott behind him on the road. And he's probably going to clip the grass into turn 14 here. Yeah. And Ilott doing well not to run into him. And Luke Browning should get the car spun back round safely. Down to last position is the Brit. In contrast, Ithapovicak is doing an incredible job in third place as Foster pits in from second, and he will not be happy with the amount of time he has lost since he came in for his first stop, because now he's going to have to pass a lot of those who are on the one stop. Well, Ithapovicak is coming into the pits as Hauger locks up, continues. Van Dorn going through into second place. Many drivers come into the pits, including Herter and Rossi, which will help Foster, who's come back out in fourth place on the road behind Paul Aron. So it's not too many cars of which Foster has to overtake. You can see Pullin being passed by Théo Pourchaire for position. Ithapovicak is rejoining 13th place, ahead of Matt Campbell. Ilott's lead is 32 seconds over Stoffel van Dorn, and he can go to the end. Can the Belgium, because he had scheduled to do the one stop. The same for Paul Aron. The question is, how much time can Louis Foster gain in these remaining laps? I would probably say not quite too much. I think he'll get through on Aron and Van Dorn. But he'll not close down the gap on Ilott anywhere near enough. Now, as it stands in the championship, if the positions were to remain as they are, Ilott, by collecting the win, will move on to 164 points. Nigiri, who is outside the top 15 as we speak, is not going to be scoring. So what was a 21-point gap at the beginning of today is going to be 46. Alex Palou is unlikely to be scoring as well. Nick de Vries won't be scoring. Hirakawa won't be scoring. And Dennis, who is running in 5th place, will remain in 6th position in the Drivers' Championship. So you have to say it's been a race that has fallen into Ilott's hands today, taking him a step closer to the Lead 2 Drivers' title. And he could seal it at Sipu next time out. In the Teams' Championship, in the race for promotion, Carlin will take a step further. With 25 points coming in the way of them. With 42 ahead of second place Andretti. That'll become 67, I believe. No, in fact, it won't be, because Dennis is up there in 5th place, which will become 4th, because Stoffel van Dorn, or you could just see the LaRussa almost clipping the grass, but getting away with it. So Dennis will get 12 championship points, putting Andretti onto 198, and and Carlin will go on to 253. So it'll be a 55-point gap between those two teams. Prema, who have got Foster on course for a podium in P3, unless he can get by both Aaron and Foster in the closing stages, which I think he will do. So let's say he gets second place. That'll move Prema ahead of Andretti into second by 1 point. As for Ram and Dome, well, Ram are not on course to be scoring, and Dome will leapfrog ahead of him, courtesy of their pole position and fast lap points. But their hopes for promotion are slipping further and further away. So Ram will move up, Dome will move up into 4th place on 139 points. Carlin will be on 253. And there's a car on fire, and it's the 40 of Luke Browning, who had been at the back for quite a while now. But it's race over for him at last. It's the 5th driver to retire. The gap between Carlin and 4th place Dome will be 114 points with 3 races to go. So it's pretty certain that Carlin will seal promotion next time out in Sepung, because Dome and Ram would have to get the maximum score of 45 to prevent them from doing that. But given Dome's performances in qualifying, they can at least keep it going until the race to stop Carlin from wrapping up the promotion achievement. But it's looking ever so strong for Perry Brown's team at Carlin. And you can see Rossi locking up behind the dams of Pato Ward. Louis Foster's got through on Paul Aron into 3rd place. Next driver ahead of him is Topher Van Dorn, who, as it stands with the time penalty, would fall down outside the points to 13th. We could maybe try and bridge out the gap even more to limit the damage and still come away with a points finish. Right on board with Jake Dennis running in 5th position. Foster is trying to go through on Van Dorn at turn 1, couldn't quite do it there. He might do it into turn 3 if he gets a good enough run, but Van Dorn is able to hold him off for now. Now, if Eilert was to hit trouble, he's able to get back to the pits with the problem, he could still come out in the lead. Here we see a battle of the girls, Abby Pullin and Sarah Moore. This is for 12th place. Ahead of those two are, well, Tazim Vapovacek is running in P11 now. He's done his last stop. Eilert doing everything right. 37 seconds clear over 2nd place Stoffel Van Dorn. Carlin have tasted victory on 3 occasions this season. A 4th one would mean so much for Callum Eilert. There we are, looking at Louis Foster, still stopped behind Van Dorn. And Paul Aron, with the way things are going, could be on course for a podium. On the inside goes Louis Foster on Stoffel Van Dorn. And it's easier said than done. Foster up into 2nd place, ahead of the Sax Speed. And another podium is going to come in the way of the Brit, where he had hoped to be fighting for the win against this man. And Sarah Moore under attack from Colton Herter, who will be excluded from the result for taking out Nick de Vries on the 1st lap. carrying on his way, and Hertha has retired from the race, and we're going to see why in a moment. And in fact, he's been involved in a collision with someone, and he's taken out the Prema as he rejoins back onto the circuit. I don't know how that had happened. I wonder if Hertha clipped the curb and then just took someone else with him. In fact, he come out into the path of the Real and hit the Prema Atomic Inagiri as he rejoined back onto the track. Hertha's race is over and he'll be out of the next race in Sepang. And unfortunately for Hertha, it's not going to be another points finish today. We'll see what the stewards say on the incident itself. And no further action is going to be taken. It looks like it was inflicted by Hertha. Callum Ilott extending the margin even more. You can see that Foster's getting the gap down a little bit on the fresher tyres. It's the 6th driver to retire from the race. Got 10 laps to go in this League 2 Autopolis Grand Prix. As it stands with the order it is, it looks like it's going to be Ilott, Foster, Aron, Dennis, Antonelli in 5th place, and then it will be Martin in 6th, and Jess Hawkins will be in P7, Gunther will be 8th, Porsche 9th, and in 10th place will be Taz in for Pavasak. Abby Pulling will just miss out on points. But you never know what could happen in the remaining laps here. And Van Dorn is doing his best to try and eke out the gap to the rest of the pack to stay in the points. The margin between him and 11th place Taz in for Pavasak is only 22 seconds, so he needs another 8 to guarantee him staying up there. And Dennis is closing in on Paul Aron for what is effectively going to be the final podium position. Callum Ilott doing everything right. Goes through turn 11. And Van Dorn in 3rd place. So ahead of Paul Owen and Jake Dennis, so we can see pulling and Moore battling it out again. Moore not able to go through. Rossi is able to get through on Matt Campbell further back. That is for 14th. Ilott is 8 laps away from his 4th Grand Prix World Series win. Taupo in Season 2. Hewitt Park in Season 4, Anderstorp in Season 4, and it looks like it's going to be Autopolis in Season 4 added to the trophy cabinet. Paul Aron is under threat now from Jake Dennis. And Dennis round the outside. Has he got the move done into turn 1? The answer is no, not yet. Aron holds on for now, ahead of the Andretti. He's doing his best, is the Estonian. Even if he does lose the position to Dennis, it's been a fine effort from Paul Aron today. And he'll probably have to be the driver of the day if he can remain where he is. See Alexander Rossi behind. It looks like Matteo Caroli, or is it? No, it's Abby Pulling, who's been overtaken by Sarah Moore earlier on in the lap. Jake Dennis, after pitting in for a new front wing for the incident he was involved in with Nick Cassidy, has done well to get back into 5th place on track. You can see the field filtering through. Of course, the group that you've just seen are trying to find their way back into the points, but they're almost a lap down on the leader. You see Paul Aron, who will be under attack from Jake Dennis on the pit straight. Where is Jake Dennis? He's round the outside. Has Dennis done it into turn 1? The answer is no. Aron holds on again. It's brilliant defensive driving from Paul Aron in the Tolman, who have had little to celebrate all season. And this result would see them leapfrog their rivals LaRousse, into P12. They'll be still quite some way behind, or still have a bit of ground to make up on Real, and most certainly Surtees. Max Gunter running in 9th on the road. As it stands, he'll move up 1 position at the expense of Van Dorn. Jess Hawkins, as it stands, will only lose 2 positions. It's been another fine drive by Hawkins as well, adding to her score. Antonelli is closing in on Hawkins. The gap is just under 3.5 seconds. And you can see the fielder coming round. The leaders that they are, Aron and Dennis. Dennis going to the inside this time, and I think Aron will struggle to hold this one back. Dennis on the inside of Paul Aron, and it's a net 3rd place coming into the way, or coming in the way of coming into the. If I could get my words out, it's effectively a podium coming in the way of Jake Dennis and for Andretti, which is something to take from this round of what's been a difficult race for them. And it's Rossi going through on Sarah Moore for position. If he can hold on round the outside, Sarah Moore will have the inside line and reads into it. And Pullen is continuing to struggle. And Alex Palau is most certainly continuing to struggle. The front wing is gone again on his car, and that'll be him off into the pit lane. It just gets worse for Ram. He's down in last place anyway, and Palau's front wing decides to make way. He's deep into the gravel trap now. And that just puts the kibosh on what's been a really dreadful race for Ross McGregor's team. And he's almost onto the racing line there. Can he get the car turned around properly? He might have to wait for cars to go through. There goes Louis Foster. Comes into the pits, does the Spaniard. 5 laps to go for Callum Ilott. But he won't be counting his chickens just yet. He needs to make sure he brings the car home. Carlin have been in this situation before. Remember Ria Hirakawa when he dropped out in the closing stages at Mugello whilst in the lead. You see Infa Povacek going through on Max Gunter for 9th place on track. And that move was coming all along, wasn't it? Very nice move from Infa Povacek on his debut in the Grand Prix World Series. A fine drive. He's got another 8 seconds or so to make up on Victor Martin. And if he gets the gap down enough, he might just sneak in front of Jess Hawkins because of Hawkins' time penalty. Foster. By finishing in second place, he came into the round 11th in the standings. And even with his podium position, he'll stay in P11. And Van Dorn with his time penalty. Since Foster got by, he's not exactly been making enough ground. And he'll fall down to what will be 11th place behind Théo Pourchaire. So from P3 down to P11. And Martin finds his way through on what looks like Antonelli, albeit maybe a little bit too easily. Has Antonelli picked up a problem in the closing stages? It'll be heart-wrenching for team manager Lewis Passendale if that's the case. We see a battle between Sarah Moore and Alexander Rossi. Tomoki Nijiri, though, is not going to be scoring for Prema. He's down in 16th place after a spin which had forced him to come into the pits for a new nose section. Three laps remaining. Ilott on his way to victory. It looks like Antonelli is staying in touch with Martin, so it doesn't look like he's hit trouble. Puvacek has got the gap down between him and Hawkins to 10.3 seconds, so it looks likely that Infa Puvacek is going to get within the 10 seconds, which will put him up into 7th place in the final reckoning. And there is Ilott, who's coming up to lap what looks like, is that Matteo Caroli who's trying to lap? I can't quite tell. We're looking at O'Ward, who's going through on Matt Campbell. This is for 14th place. And there goes Callum Ilott, who puts a lap on the LaRousse. We've had another day to forget. And Najiri has found his way through on O'Ward for 14th. Must have got by Campbell and O'Ward at the same section of the course. Jake Dennis, who's on the tail of Stoff Van Dorn now for P3, but he won't need to make the overtake because of Van Dorn's enormous time penalty. See Louis Foster on course for his first podium in the Grand Prix World Series. It will be in his 9th start. A 2nd place finish is going to be coming his way, and another one for Prema, with Ram not scoring and Dome only coming away with a couple of points. This has been a solid day at least. It's a shame that Nigeria had hit trouble earlier on. As you see Alex Poe unlapping the Real of Max Gunter. Antonelli, who's running in 8th position on track behind Victor Martin, struggling to keep up. And Infa Puvacek has got inside the 10 seconds on Hawkins, so he's on course for a 7th place finish now. Callum Ilott has started the final lap of the race. As we look at Jess Hawkins, he was determined to get to the end. And Infa Puvacek catching Kimi Antonelli. We'll go to race leader Callum Ilott, who's driven a beautiful race. And with the 2 domes hitting trouble again, it was going to be very difficult for anyone to beat him. It's going to be a third win of the campaign for the Brit. And he will handsomely extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship going into the last 3 races. He could seal the League 2 Drivers' Championship next time out in Sepang. But for now, it's all about Callum Ilott here in Japan. What a race for Carlin, again, nailing the strategy. And for Perry Brown, it's a giant step closer to promotion. Just a few points away from sealing it after this. Callum Ilott comes onto the pit straight to win the League 2 Autopolis Grand Prix. A dominant drive from Callum Ilott, and for the Carlin team, they can celebrate their 4th win of the season. League 1 is beckoning for them now. Just under 30 seconds behind is Louis Foster, and for Prema, it hadn't been easy for Foster, but he will get his first podium position in the Grand Prix World Series. Another one in the bag for the team. Stoff Van Don will drop outside the points with his time penalty. So Jake Dennis, after hitting the back of Nick Cassidy, needing a new front wing, has recovered to a podium position. Nicely done by him. He moves ahead of Rio Hirakawa and Nick De Vries into 4th place in the Drivers' Championship. But Paul Aron is arguably the driver of the day for Tolman. 4th place for him. What a performance. Victor Martin will be promoted to 5th position, as will Kimi Antonelli into 6th and Taz Infopubasek into 7th place. So Jess Hawkins will be down to 8th. Teo Porsche 9th, and Mats Gunter will pick up the last point. Van Don drops down to P11 with his time penalty. Tommy Kinijiri, no points for him today. 15th, and a race to forget. It's a win for Callum Ilott, his 3rd of the campaign here at Autopolis. A giant step closer to the League 2 Drivers' title. Louis Foster in 2nd place, and Jake Dennis running out an all-Brit podium in League 2 in Japan. Paul Aron 4th, Tolman's best result of the season so far, ahead of Victor Martin and Kimi Antonelli. Taz Infopubasek on debut is in P7. Brilliant drive from him. Jess Hawkins with her time penalties 8th, Teo Porsche 9th, and Mats Gunter in 7th place. Stoff Van Don with his time penalty drops down from the podium position to P11. Alexander Rossi is 12th. Sarah Moore in 13th. Patrick Ward 14th. Tom Kinijiri down to 15. No points for him. Abby Pullen, Matt Campbell, Matteo Caroli, Dennis Hauger, and Alex Palou were the 20 drivers to finish the race. Luke Browning retired with engine trouble. Ritoyo Miyata out towards the top end after gearbox problems. Rio Hirakawa the same. Nick Cassidy retiring also. And Nick De Vries crashed out on the opening lap. Colton Hertzler also retired after a crash, and from running into Nick De Vries on the opening lap, which took him out, he is banned and disqualified from this race. He's also banned for the next round in Sepang. Nick Cassidy takes the point for pole position, and Ritoyo Miyata gets the point for the fastest lap. A huge day in the Drivers' and Teams' Championship for Carlin. Perry Brown must be smiling so much now as the season reaches its climax. Callum Ilott, by taking the win, he is 46 points clear over Tom Kinijiri, which means victory in Sepang could seal the Drivers' Championship for him. With Ram and Dome scoring really poorly today and Carlin coming away with the victory, Carlin only need just a few points to guarantee themselves promotion into League 1 with a couple of races to spare. Prema, by finishing in 2nd place and Andretti getting that podium, it's very close between those 2 teams actually, with Prema closing down by a few points. They are almost certain that they're going to be going up as well. For Ram and Dome, it's almost curtains as far as their hopes for promotion are concerned. It's time to run down on the League 2 Drivers and Teams Championships in the voice of Topher Smith, and we'll be back for the League 1 race very, very shortly.
I think Callum Ilott might have just put one hand on the League 2 Drivers' Championship crown. A huge win by him today when some of his rivals faltered. And let's see what this has done to the point standings. Callum Ilott now on 164 points. He can theoretically secure the title next time out in Sepang. Tommy Kinijiri second in the points at 118 after a disaster of a race for him today. Alex Palou third in the Ram on 94 ahead of Jake Dennis, Nick de Vries and Ryo Hirakawa. The red line there denoting who can still mathematically win this championship, although it is looking increasingly like Callum Ilott will be the one to prevail. Ritomo Miata, 7th on 74 points ahead of Kimi Antonelli on 73. Nick Cassidy up to 9th ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne now. The same number of points between those two, but Cassidy ahead on countback. And in the team standings, Carlin takes another step towards the League 2 crown and promotion into League 1 next season. 253 points for the Prairie Browns team. Andretti second on 201, 2 points ahead of Prema Racing on 199. Domer on 139, Ram on 138. And again, the red line denoting which teams can still win the championship this season. Saxpeed 6th on 106 points ahead of Coloni and 40 Corsi. The orange line there denoting who can still gain promotion into League 1 for next season. So mathematically out of the running for promotion, Dams on 53, Surtees on 44, Real on 25, Tolman on 17, after a fantastic effort for Paul Lara to stay pick up a bunch of points for the team, and LaRousse now at the back on 6 points. We will now put League 2 behind us and look forward to League 1, where in the driver standings, Sebastian Buemi and Felix Rosenqvist still unseparated on 111 points each. This is going to be a fantastic run-in to the end of the season between those two, with Earl Bamber close behind as well, 106 points for the New Zealander, and Scott McLaughlin 4th on 90 points in the HRT. John-Eric Verne still up there in the Prost on 89 ahead of Joseph Newgarden on 83. Kamui Kobayashi in the Simtek 7th on 59, with Mahavir Raghunathan, Raffaele Marcello and Scott Dixon rounding out the top 10. Our reigning champion looking like he is not going to be taking home a third straight driver's crown this season. And in the teams, Prost leads the way on 200 points, but they had their lead dramatically reduced at the last round in Zhuhai. Leighton House now 11 points behind Prost and breathing down the neck of Tom Cairns' team. Arrows third on 139 ahead of HRT on 128. John Monroe looking to secure that top 3 position and take it away from Arrows if he can. Simtek 5th on 102 ahead of Force India on 99. Minardi and BAR have 81 points each. Onyx on 72 and Manor rounding out the top 10 on 51. While currently in the relegation zone, Mastercard Lola on 38, Fonmetal on 33 and Pacific on 22. Just a couple of driver changes to make note of in the League 1 action, and first of those comes at the Force India team, where last time out Jack Aitken substituted for the disqualified Antonio Felix da Costa, and Aitken getting a podium on his substitute appearance was enough to impress Ed Spencer to the point where he has decided to keep Jack Aitken in for the rest of the season. So da Costa dropped into the reserve role after what, quite frankly, has been a disappointing season for the former Grand Prix World Series vice champion. And over at the Mastercard Lola team, Roman Grosjean has picked up his 3rd disqualification of the season. He returned from a 2-race ban at the last round in Zhuhai, and on the first lap took out Christopher Bell and picked up another race ban. So Mick Schumacher once again in his place at Marcus Johansson's team. And with qualifying completed earlier, let's take a look at the grid, and it is Jean-Eric Verne taking his and Prost's first pole position of the season. It's amazing to think that the Prost team at the head of the standings hasn't yet had a pole position this season, but Jean-Eric Verne gets the job done, less than a tenth of a second ahead of Nicholas Latifi in the BAR. Felix Rosenqvist, our joint championship leader, will start 3rd in the Arrows. Christopher Bell with a great result for the HRT, 4th for the American. Antonio Giovinazzi 5th, while Sebastian Buemi, the other championship leader, will start from 6th today. Joseph Newgarden and Earl Bamber, the 2 Leighton Houses, share row 4, while Scott Dixon will start 9th and Mahavir Raghunathan will start 10th. Lawrence Vantor and Kevin Estra will start from row 6, the 2 Onyxes there together. Jack Aitken 13th alongside his teammate Raffaele Marcello. Mick Schumacher on his return will be 15th ahead of Marcus Ericsson in the Fonmetal, a much better qualifying for him than last time out. Shane van Gisbergen 17th ahead of Daniel Kvyat, Kyle Kirkwood and Mitch Evans rounding out the top 20. And at the back, Felipe Nasr, Pietro Fittipaldi, Kamui Kobayashi, Oliver Behrman, Brendan Harley and Scott McLaughlin, one of our championship contenders, will start from the back, having picked himself up a grid penalty last time out in Zhuhai. Well, if the League Two race was anything to go by, we are set for another thriller here in Autopolis. We can't wait to get this one started. So let's get straight to it and hand you back over to the commentary box. Tom, take it away.
Jonathan on pole, Prost are on pole for the first time this season, but can they come away with a victory this time after a rotten run of form in the last few races? We've got the lights coming on now for one last time here today in Autopolis. Lights are on, lights off, and it's away in Autopolis. Latifi getting the better start over Jonathan, and he streaks ahead before we get to the right-hander of turn number 1. Latifi takes the lead ahead of Vern, who is just ahead of the HRT of Christopher Bell in second place. Bell is in third. Rosenquist ahead of Newgarden as they come around to turn number 3. Vern on the inside back at Latifi, but Latifi is able to resist, and there's a car flying in the air. It looks like a manor that's gone over. It's Shane van Gisbergen who has hit trouble, and his race is over. And we'll have a look to see who he ran into there. Someone had lost the rear wing. In fact, it was an Onyx that lost the rear wing at turn number 1. And that had sent Van Gisbergen flying on the exit, the kink of turn number 2. The two Pacifics at the back doing well to get out of the way of the debris. But we'll just have a look at Shane Van Gisbergen. He hit the back of what looked like the Onyx. I couldn't quite tell whether it was Dries Van Tor or... Well, not Dries Van Tor, Lawrence Van Tor or Kevin Estra. In fact, that was so close for Van Gisbergen taking out another driver. But Van Gisbergen is out of the race. A massive, massive shunt. And I wonder what the stewards may take on that. It'll probably go down as a racing incident. We'll see what they say. No further action is going to be taken, but there may be some words after as Rosenquist goes through on Christopher Bell for third place. That was down over at turn 10. And a better start for Rosenquist. Kyle Kirkwood is down the field in 14th. Arrows are very much out of the running for the team's championship, bar any miracle. But the hopes of the Drivers' Championship with Felix Rosenquist is still alive. Rosenquist going into the round level on points with Sebastian Buemi. Earl Bamber, after his victory in Suhai last time out, is in P3. And Scott McLaughlin, who started at the back of the grid for taking out another driver. Well, I say taking out, he ran into another driver, which got him the time penalty and a back of the grid drop. We're seeing a change of lead. Vern on the inside of Nicholas Latifi into turn 1, and Johnny Vern takes back the lead of the League 1 Autopolis Grand Prix. Pass back into the lead again, aiming to keep their places at the top of the Drivers' and Teams' Championships intact. Sebastian Buemi is running in 6th place behind Joseph Newgarden. Giovinazzi has got himself up into 5th. Kevin Estra was the one who lost his rear wing at the start, and he's come in for repairs. And after his splendid run of form, particularly in Suhai last time out, he's left himself with far too much work to do, really. And his chances of points are very much slim. And there we can see the two Simtex and the two Pacifics who have been off the pace in recent rounds. Pacific look destined for a return to League 2 for Season 5. For Simtech, well, they've got a new manager on board under the name of Liv Simtech, as far as we know. Who will be hoping to guide the team forward towards a return to winning ways again. But Vern leads, it's Latifi, Rosenquist, Bell, Giovinazzi, Newgarden, Buemi, Bamber, Dixon, and Ragunathan. Vern with a new fast up of the race. That's been taken away by Christopher Bell. As the field make their way round. Buemi has been overtaken by Earl Bamber, and Scott Dixon's been passed by Matthew Ragunathan. Now we are seeing Buemi thought about a move on Bamber, but to no avail. Latifi in second place. You see Rosenquist ahead of Bell, and then Giovinazzi. Dixon is continuing to drop down the order behind Jack Aiken in 11th place. Aiken, who is in the Force India full time, in place of Antonio Felix da Costa. Now Raghunathan on a charge right now in the BAR. Race winner earlier in the campaign at Zolder. See the two Leighton houses going toe-to-toe. Vern with another new fast up of the race. 1 at 29.4. So automatically got the pole position point, and now he's got the fast lap point as we speak. He could mathematically go into the lead of the Drivers' Championship at the end of today. Well, one driver who's not going to get to the end is Rafael Marcello, and the front right has fallen off the car. Who has he come together with, or has he lost it by himself? He's lost it by himself over the curb. No collision made. And so his race is over on lap number 4. And Marcello retires again. That is his 5th non-finish of the season. So he joins Van Gisbergen on the sidelines. Vern, Latifi, Bell, and Rosenquist in the top 4. Prost came into the rounds 11 points clear over second place Leighton House, who are very much their rivals really for the team's championships. Arrows, who have not been on a good run of form, are all but out of it. HRT have been in a better run of form of late, but not realistically in the fight. So it's between two teams for the team's championship. And we have realistically got 6 drivers who could become the Grand Prix World Series champion at the end of the season. Sebastian Buemi, Felix Rosenquist, Earl Bamber, Scott McLaughlin, Sean McVern, and Joseph Newgarden. We see Mick Schumacher in place again of the suspended Romain Grosjean. And he is through on Lawrence Vansor for 15th. There is Bell behind Latifi in the fight for P2. Giovinazzi's got in front of Rosenquist now for 4th place. Raghunathan on the inside of Buemi, not able to get through this time around. Scott Dixon, the reigning Grand Prix World Series champion, will not retain his title this time around. He has failed to finish on a total of 10 occasions, if you're going to include the one in Dijon-Bourgogne where he's retired in the final few laps. We are looking at Felipe Nasr, who's in 18th place behind Scott McLaughlin, who's continuing to make his way through the field. Latifi, who's had little to celebrate this season. And Sebastian Buemi is on fire! For the 4th race in a row, Sebastian Buemi is out! Another problem for the Prost team. Sebastian Buemi's championship hopes are disintegrating here. You can see the field are trying to get through at the moment. Buemi just needs to be careful. In fact, he's taking out Felipe Nasr. It's race over for the Fonmetal, and that could be Buemi in serious, serious trouble. Yeah, Nasr ran into Buemi, and it's race over for the Fonmetal driver. And team manager Ewan Gale will be furious. with the Prost team. And Felipe Nasr out of the race. Up in the air again. And Bohemia's race is also over. But that won't be the last of it. The stewards will take a look at the incident. And we await the verdict. This is very important in the race for the title. And it's no further action taken from the stewards, which is quite surprising, because I thought Bohemia should have gone off sooner. And Nasr didn't really have too much where to go, or was not expected to make a change of movement to avoid him. But no further action is going to be taken on the incident involving Bohemia and Nasr. Prost and Bohemia have got away with one, I have to say. So one Prost out, the other in the lead. As it stands with the positions as they are, Felix Rosenqvist will take the lead in the championship, and Earl Bamber will go up into second place. As for Verne, he'll go up into fourth place ahead of Scott McLaughlin. Here we can see the two mascot Lolas of Kvyat and Schumacher in 12th and 13th, determined to get a points finish today. Von Mattel hoping to get both cars to the end. Well, sadly, they've only got one left in the race, and that's Marcus Ericsson in P11. But given the retirement rate we have seen from the likes of Minardi and BAR this season, they've got a good chance. And Bohemia already out of the race, well, that'll further compound Prost's woes. And you can see the two late houses of Newgarden and Bamber. It looks like Newgarden's holding up Bamber now. So I wonder if Newgarden will let Bamber by here on the pit straight. Yeah, so Bamber is going on the inside now of Newgarden. Team orders coming into play here at Leighton House. Bamber through on Newgarden for P6. And Newgarden has fallen away in recent rounds. He was the championship leader earlier in the season, but he's now lost another place to Matavira Gunatham. So he's down to P8 is Newgarden. Behind Newgarden is Jack Aiken in the Force India, impressing again. I wonder if Newgarden's beginning to struggle with pace at the moment, because he may well be one of those doing the one stop while some are doing the two. And there we see Christopher Bell back towards the front, podium finisher in Parnu in his second outing. I can tell you that Scott McLaughlin is up into 15th position, continuing to make his way through the field. There we see McLaughlin behind Vantor, and he's going to go through here into 14th position before they get to turn 1. Unless Vantor has other ideas, which he does. Is going to have to really fight for this one. Vantor is not an easy driver to pass, that's for certain. So far this season, Sebastian Buemi has retired from more races than he's finished them. His last finish was in Istanbul, where he had won. Got 4 drivers out of the race: Sebastian Buemi, Felipe Nasr, Rafael Marcello and Shane van Gisbergen. And while we've been talking about the top of the table, the bottom of the table sees Manor, who are not on course to score at the moment. Mascot Lola have got both cars in 12th and 13th, so they're kind of in range to get something from this. I'll come back to that in a moment. Giovinazzi on the inside of Bell into turn 1, and P3 going in the way of Minardi. Giovinazzi, the race winner at the Nürburgring, heading through, and now we are looking at Schumacher, who is determined to find a way through on Kvyat. Van Tor and McLaughlin is still going at it at turn 1, and Van Tor keeps hold of the place. Vern's lead is 3 seconds over Latifi. Going back to the bottom of the table, Marscod Lola 13 points from safety coming into this round. They need another good haul of points, as do Von Mattel. As for Pacific, well, it's nigh on impossible to see them scoring big, considering the pace of their cars all season. Both of the Pacifics are still going in this race, albeit they are both at the back of the field battling with the Simtex. Bearing in mind, 11 drivers made it to the end, if you're to include Grosjean, who was excluded from the race result for his part in the incident with the 2 HRTs on lap 1. And we are seeing El Bamba through on Felix Rosenquist around the outside before turn 1, and Leighton House are really coming out fighting here with Bamba on a charge. And Jean-Luc Verne, 5 times a Grand Prix World Series winner, 4 of those coming in with BAR in season 1 in his championship winning season. He's won in Parnu a few rounds ago. He really could do with a win to keep them above Leighton House in the team's championship, which they are doing. Now Newgarden is in 9th position behind Aiken, so he's lost the place as Newgarden, who's not having the best of races so far. But we don't know what pit strategy each driver is looking to do. But Verne is coming around the last corner to complete his 11th lap of the race. Not having to deal with any back markers for the time being, but he may well do in the future. And we can see Newgarden going through on Jack Aiken into 8th place. Behind Aiken is Scott Dixon. Isn't doing much right now. And McLaughlin has got through on both of the Marscod Lolas, as is Brendan Hartley on Ollie Berman. So both of the Pacifics have got through on the Simtech. And Kamui Kobayashi, who's just further up ahead, doing his best to keep his car on the track. There is Latifi in P2. Gunning for his first win in the Grand Prix World Series. Mechanical problems have been sidelining the team all season. I wonder how long it will be before we start seeing pit stops. Around about 5 or 6 laps time, no more than that. Now we're looking at Ollie Berman in 21st position behind Brendan Hartley. He's behind Pietro Fittipaldi. Those two. Verne is doing everything right so far in the lead for the Prost team. They really cannot afford too many mistakes in the closing stages of this championship. This is by far the closest they have come to achieving the title. A strong start to the season. Giovinazzi in P3 for Minardi, ahead of Christopher Bell. It's Earl Bamber, Phillips Rosenquist, Matthew Gunnathan, Joseph Newgarden, Jack Aiken and Scott Dixon. Marcus Ericsson is another 4 to 5 seconds behind the Minardi. Watch out for Scott McLaughlin, he'll be on the tail of Ericsson for P11 in a moment. Mick Schumacher right on board. He's battling it out with Lawrence Vantor. We've just seen Gunnathan go through on Rosenquist for P6, so Rosenquist is dropping back. McLaughlin is still behind Ericsson for position. I think he did try to pass him, but lost ground at turn 1. The leaders, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Bamber right behind Bell as they continue on. Vern's lead is nearly 4 seconds on lap 14. It's not going to be too long before we see Bamber line up a move on Bell on the pit straight here. Which way is Bamber going to go? He should go to the inside here. He's not quite there yet, is he? Oh yeah, he is. He is there, and he's through. On Christopher Bell is Earl Bamber, and that is the Kiwi through up to 4th place on a charge. Looking to see where he had started on the grid. Earl Bamber, he was 8th on the grid, is now up to 4th place. A fine race by Bamber's standards. It's the win that he wants. As it stands, he'll go into the lead in the Drivers' Championship. Rosenquist will be 2nd. And Boeing will be in 3rd place. But it could all still change. Giovinazzi in P3 behind Latifi. Not quite finding a way through just yet. And McLaughlin is still stopped behind Marcus Ericsson for position. So I would expect an overtake in the near future. We've got a pit stop over at Leighton House. Earl Bamber is in from 4th place. So he's the first of the leaders to come in. We did say 33 seconds is what you need for a pit stop. McLaughlin going through on Ericsson. Easier said than done, no problem. Now he's got a bit of a gap between him and Dixon, so he can use that to his advantage and go after the Kiwi. Vern doing his best. If he can win this one, he's got a realistic shot of the championship, his 2nd Grand Prix World Series title. And into the last 3 races of the season in Sepang, Sepang and Phillip Island. Five seconds is the margin between Dixon and McLaughlin in the battle for 9th. Vern coming round. Does not come in for a pit stop. Neither do Latifi or Giovinazzi or Bell. I don't think Ragunathan has done either. We are looking to see whether... Now, I just wonder, with Bamber coming in as early as he did he pick up an issue on the last lap? Because no one has come into the pits at the end of this lap, that they've just completed lap 16, whereas he came in on lap 15. We'll wait and see later as Fantor tries to get through on Mick Schumacher for P13. Back to the front with Giovinazzi close to the tail of Latifi. And there we've got Bell and Ragunathan. And we see Vern locking up, spinning. Oh my goodness me, stop! He's blown it as Vern! A spin for the race leader, and a twist in the title race as well. He's absolutely blown it. Latifi goes into the lead, and Giovinazzi into second place. He might have to wait for the whole field to go past Sonic Vern. This is terrible for the past team. This is cruel luck. He tried to correct the car to begin with, and the car just snapped. Vern falls down to 21st place. Oh, he's wrecked the front wing as well, for goodness sake. He hasn't got far to go to do his pit stop, but his race is ruined. And not a pleasing sight for the Prost team either. He's got 9 laps of fuel left on board. He was scheduled to do a one stop. So we've got a change of lead. Latifi into the lead now with Giovinazzi second. It's Bell, Ragunathan and Rosenqvist in the top 5. Latifi has not won in the Grand Prix World Series before. Neither has Christopher Bell. Giovinazzi has done already this season. And you can just see Earl Bamber, who is stuck behind the Simtech of Ollie Behrman for position. Vern has fallen down to last place behind Kevin Estre. And McLaughlin is up into 8th place because Ragunathan is in the pits. So down the hill he comes towards turn number 3. We'll continue to close in on Dixon. And then you can see Old Bamber going through on Ollie Behrman into turn 1. Back at the front, Latifi's still ahead of Giovinazzi. The gap is 0.8 of a second. Jean-Luc Verne almost a lap down on the leaders on lap 19. Any chance of points are pretty much dashed. Unless he can really, really recover from here. Lane activity involving the leaders, not from the top 3 anyway. Harris and Chris and Newgarden carry on as they are. Bacon and Dixon as well. McLaughlin will carry on. So all of the dramas promoted Marcus Ericsson up into 9th position. That'll be good enough for a couple of points for the Von Mattel team, who need these points. And November sailing past the Pacific of Brendan Hartley. Seeing Mick Schumacher chased by Lawrence Van Tor. Inside the points for Mastercard Lola. There is Antonio Giovinazzi in the Minardi. The team have won twice this season in Buenos Aires and Nürburgring, but they've struggled to get to the end of races. And Gunnavan is now stuck behind Ollie Berman after his pit stop. See Bell in the 3rd position. Giovinazzi into the slipstream of Latifi. We're not quite close enough to have a go. Kevin Estra locking up in the Onyx. Going away with it. Fern is 18 seconds behind Estra. And Bamba has got through on Pietro Fittipaldi at turn 1. We're going to fin likewise with Behrman. Looking at the HRT, what looks like Christopher Bell, who's running in 3rd place. Let's see if he crosses over the line, as does Giovinazzi. Another strong race from HRT. Here in the fight for 3rd place with Arrows in the team's championship. On lap 21, we're looking at Kimura Kobayashi in 15th, ahead of Earl Bamber. And this is the disadvantage of doing the 2-stop, is you're always risking getting stuck behind traffic. Bamber should make mincemeat of Kobayashi here. He's through, no problem. It's on to the next one, which is Mitch Evans. And Giovinazzi is out of the race in the Minardi. The car is on fire. It's another non-finish for Giacomo Pagliaro's team. It was kind of predictable as well. And this has been their Achilles heel all season, with Mechanical Gremlins putting too much on horsepower and not putting enough on reliability. And that just sums up their season pretty much. Christopher Bell goes up to 2nd place, and it's Felix Rosenquist into 3rd. He'll go into the lead of the championship as it stands, but there's still all the pit stops to come as we speak. There is Bell, 2.6 seconds back. See an overtake, well, I say an overtake. Mick Schumacher's come into the pits, as does Lawrence Van Tor. And Bamber is about to pull off and move on Mitch Evans. Whilst all that is going on, he's into 11th place now, as we are just seeing a battle further behind involving what looked like Regunathan and Fittipaldi. I think Regunathan just got through on the Pacific. There is the HRT. And Latifi keeping his car on the circuit. Scott McLaughlin is in 7th place now. He's closed the gap on Dixon. The gap is 2.8 seconds. And are we seeing any pit lane activity? Not from the top two. The end of lap 23. Down turn 1. We've got the Aeros of Felix Rosenquist in 3rd place ahead of Newgarden. Jack Aiken comes in for Force India. We expect that to be his only stop of the race. Christopher Bell, what a performance we have seen from him. Well, this is his 5th outing in the Grand Prix World Series. Already 18th in the Drivers' Championship, 24 points to his name, including a podium in Parnu. And victory would mean so much to him and to HRT. McLaughlin, who's got through the field very, very nicely in 6th place. He's got his only stop to do in this one. The gap between Dixon and McLaughlin is 2.3 seconds. On lap 24, 2.5 seconds is the margin. And we've got Newgarden who's come into the pits for Leighton House. And we look at Regunathan, who streaks past Mitch Evans. Trying to maximise the result by doing the 2-stop. El Bamba is back into 9th position. The next car ahead of him is Kyle Kirkwood. There is Marcus Ericsson, who's in 6th place. He's still yet to pit as well. And El Bamba, will he rue deciding to do that 2-stop? Is he making the most of it? Well, we'll find out a little bit later. But he's going through on Kyle Kirkwood here. So that move's completed. Kirkwood didn't really make it that difficult for him. And as we see Christopher Bell coming in from 2nd place at the end of lap 25. And this is his only stop of the race. Rosenquist stays out for another lap. We'll look to see what Dixon and McLaughlin decide to do. Well, Dixon and McLaughlin decide to stay out. Bell will rejoin behind Bamba. Will rejoin behind Kirkwood as well. He'll rejoin behind Regunathan. He's out behind Evans. He's out in 10th place ahead of Brendan Hartley, so that in terms of traffic, it's not played out too badly for Christopher Bell. He knows there's some drivers who have yet to do their only stop, but although he's doing that within the next lap or two. Dixon in P3 ahead of McLaughlin, continuing on. Rosenquist in the arrows. Going from strength to strength as we speak. And Rosenquist does come in from second place. And Dixon also pitting in from P3. What does McLaughlin decide to do? I think he's in as well. He is. And Marcus Ericsson, does he follow suit? He does follow suit. So El Bamba will go up into second place. Third place will be Kyle Kirkwood for now. He's got Marafi Ragunathan right behind, and Christopher Bell is gaining ground. Mitch Evans also in for Manor, as we see Newgarden just getting ahead of Felix Rosenquist. These two have been fighting it out all race. And there is Kyle Kirkwood locking up in front of Marafi Ragunathan. It won't be too long before Christopher Bell gets onto the tail of those two. Ragunathan has already stopped, but he's destined to make a two-stop instead of a one. It won't be too long before Ragunathan gets the overtake done on Kirkwood. So once Kirkwood comes into the pits, the order will be Latifi, Bamber, Ragunathan, Bell, Newgarden, Rosenquist, Aiken, Dixon and McLaughlin. And Mick Schumacher will go into the top 10. So coming out of the last corner, does Ragunathan complete the overtake sweetly on Kirkwood? I think he does here. He's done it into turn one, and Ragunathan goes through into third position. Kirkwood stays out for another lap. Now Nicholas Latifi has not put a foot wrong in this race. He is still yet to pit. Bamber will go into the lead once Latifi does come in, but Bamber has a second stop to make. The same with Ragunathan. So the driver that Latifi is battling is Christopher Bell. And Bell has been getting the gap down all the time. And Latifi is in at the end of lap 27. Danny Kvyat is pulling out of the race in the Mascot Lola. He will not add to his point score in recent races. 3 on the bounce before this one, but not today. And that dampens Mascot Lola's hopes of staying in League One. Mick Schumacher is still going in the race in P11. Kirkwood is in the pits, as we see Latifi come out just in front of Bell. But Bell is going to be right on the tail of the BAR. He might get a run here. Little Christopher Bell into the slipstream. Will he go for it into turn 3? He will. On the inside goes Christopher Bell. Is through on Nicholas Latifi into the net race lead. Brilliant overtake from Bell on the fresher tyres. On tyres with more temperature. And he is through, no doubt about it, on the Canadian. Or has he picked up an issue? I think he's picked up an issue as well. So shortly after the overtake, he has hit trouble. Something is wrong with the HRT. Christopher Bell may well be back in the pits very, very shortly. He is not going very quick at all. I just hope he does make it back, because it's been a strong race by his standards. His race is ruined by this problem he's picked up. Ragunathan remains in second for the time being, and Latifi remains effectively in the net race lead. And in fact, there's an engine problem for Christopher Bell. The car is up in smoke now. I don't think he's going to make it. No. Oh, he's only just agonising away from the pits as the Leighton House nearly runs wide there, as does the Arrows. Does Bell make it back? No, he doesn't. He's out. The car is ripped into shreds as he hits the gravel as well. Awful luck for the HRT squad and for team manager John Munro. It's Latifi's race to lose now. But it's Bamber who's in the lead for the time being. As Colin Kirkwood locks up. Oh, he's gone off the track, and sure, that's damaged the car. He's spun into the gravel. And Colin Kirkwood has hardly impressed since he was drafted in place of Oliver Rowland at the Arrows team. Yeah, just go too much speed, on the brakes too late. Bouncing over the gravel, I'm very lucky not to sustain any damage. You'll probably have to wait for pretty much the whole field to go by. And I don't know what on earth he's doing here. Is Carl Kirkwood. He's almost on the racing line. He's got going at last. In 18th position. So all the retirements and all the drama that we've just seen, Vern is back in the top 15 now after his spin, and he's going to be on the tail of Pietro Fittipaldi and Kimi Kobayashi. I think those two will be easy said than done, and the same for Mitch Evans. So Vern could well get a points finish out of this after all. Scott McLaughlin is fighting it out with Scott Dixon as they go towards turn one, and move completed. Nicely done. Nicely done by Scott McLaughlin, who is through, and no harm done. Jonathan in P2 has got Nicholas Latifi right behind, so he won't want to hold him up too much. There is Kobayashi and Fittipaldi fighting for 13th position. "19 cars left in the race, 7 already out. We've lost Christopher Bell, we've lost Danny Kafia. We've also lost Antonio Giovinazzi, Sebastian Buemi, Felipe Nasser, Rafael Marcello, and Shane van Gisbergen, who went airborne on the opening lap just before turn 3. Just thinking about where Bamber and Ragunathan will rejoin once they come in for their second stops. Here we see McLaughlin behind Aiken, who won't do it into turn 1, but he might have a go into turn 3 if he is feeling it. Through the kink, is McLaughlin going to find a way through on Aiken there? We're not quite seeing it. I don't think he did get the overtake done this time around. But this is an important battle to watch between Mick Schumacher and Marcus Ericsson. And Ericsson might be able to get through on Mick Schumacher this time around. Doesn't quite do so. Now this is interesting. Ragunathan is holding up Latifi. And this is not a battle Ragunathan will want to be in, because he's doing his own race, whereas Latifi will essentially be fighting out with the likes of Rosenquist, Newgarden, and maybe Jack Aiken for the win. In second place on track. It won't be too long before he pits in, but he needs to get out of the way of his teammate, who will be coming through. Latifi round the outside. Does Ragunathan fight it, or does he allow him to go through? He does not allow him to go through. And this is hurting Latifi's race. This will not please team manager Will Knight by any means. McLaughlin gets through on Aiken into turn 1 momentarily. Oh, he's off the track, it's McLaughlin. I don't know how that has happened. We're going to see a replay. No, he got through on the outside almost. And it was just McLaughlin not really focusing on his own car as opposed to Aiken right alongside. And that's lost him the position to Scott Dixon. Lap 33. Bamber leads by nearly 3 seconds, and Latifi is getting really agitated now behind his teammate, who really should be allowing him through. So Latifi, is he going to be allowed through by Ragunathan here? It's the sequence of corners here that just makes it agonising for a driver to be stuck behind before they get onto the pit straight. Turn 1 they come. Latifi on the tail of Ragunathan. This should be Latifi going through here, and he does go through at last on Ragunathan. Although he's lost more time than he should have done, really. Latifi through on Ragunathan into second place. And we await for the second round of pit stops. We see Ericsson and Schumacher still toe-to-toe. Ericsson right behind. Are we going to see a change for position here as they come towards turn 3? Ericsson not close enough to have a go. There's Latifi being chased by Ragunathan, but Latifi will be getting the gap down on Bamber. If I'm correct with my calculations, once, as Fern goes through on Kobayashi, once Bamber comes in for his stop, he should rejoin in 10th position behind Marcus Ericsson, bearing in mind Maverick Ragunathan does have another stop to do as well. So effectively it will be 9th place for Earl Bamber. And he's into the pits now. He's the race leader at the end of lap 34. And Ragunathan is doing the same. That releases Nicholas Latifi. Hasn't won in the Grand Prix World Series this season. Rosenquist goes up into second place, Newgarden third, and it's Aiken, Dixon and McLaughlin into 6th place. And it'll be Mick Schumacher and Marcus Ericsson who will go through into 7th and 8th. And there goes Ericsson on the inside of Mick Schumacher into turn 1. And I think that was a foregone conclusion, don't you think? To the dismay of Maverick Ragunathan, he's just been overtaken by Lawrence Van Sor at turn 1, so that will give him a little bit of time to go back through here, and I think he's doing that now. Here's Ragunathan, so he's not going to be held up behind Van Sor for any longer. Now he thinks that he could win this. And Rosenquist will think he can win it. And Bamber trying to get through on the Barcelona. In fact, he's barged Mick Schumacher out of the way. And that will be a penalty going in the way of the Leighton-house. That was a needless overtake. That was too impatient there from Bamber, and there was just not enough room for the cars to get through. So you can see on the inside is Bamber. And he is most certainly going to be picking up a penalty of some sort. And it's a 10-second time penalty for El Bamba. So that's not good news for him in terms of his championship chances. There is Nicholas Latifi, 10 seconds clear over Rosenqvist, who's in second. In P3, and it's Dixon, Aiken, McLaughlin, Ericsson, and it's Bamba who has that penalty hanging over him now. Mick Schumacher and Matthew Gunnarsson. As it stands with the penalty for El Bamba, he'll drop to 11th place. He'll drop outside the points. And Jean-Luc Verne is stopped behind Pietro Fittipaldi, really. The gap is 1.2 seconds. He's not making a lot of ground to help himself get back up into the points. This man has done everything right in this race. Nicholas Latifi got the jump on Jean-Luc Verne into turn 1, but Verne got him back by turn 3. Further back, we are seeing Scott McLaughlin battling it out with Jack Aiken. And he's not quite through just yet. He's trying to go around the outside, nearly catching the grass there. And now we are looking at... Oh, and that's El Bamba going through on Marcus Ericsson for 7th position on circuit. I think Bamba should be able to pull out the gap on Ericsson to keep hold of 7th. He's got another 12 seconds to make up on McLaughlin anyway. Hartley on the inside of Kobayashi into turn 1. As we see Rosenqvist in second place, Latifi almost going a little bit too deep. Around turn 14, but he gathered it all up. The consolation for Prost is that they'll come away with the fast lap and pole position points, but it won't be enough to keep them in the lead of the team's championship. And Kevin Estra, who was at the back, who has been at the back all race, is pulling out in the Onyx with front suspension failure. And the fast up of the race now goes in the way of El Bamba. Now that's very important, because Prost and Jean-Luc Verne had that point. It's no longer theirs. Prost lost his Leightonhouse's gain as Gunnarsson runs wide at turn 1. He was battling with Mick Schumacher. And yeah, Gunnarsson just ran too far out wide, and Schumacher was able to keep hold of the place. Pietro Fittipaldi has just been overtaken, and it's a terrible shame. And Verne's car is on fire as well. The car is up in smoke for Jean-Luc Verne and for Prost. Fittipaldi pulls out of the race, and Verne will be doing so shortly as well. Fittipaldi goes no further, and that plunges Pacific closer to the drop. For Prost, they are about to lose the lead in the teams and in the Drivers' Championships, because Verne's car is up in smoke, and he is not going to make it to the end either. Hartley goes through on Vern, as will Kimura Kobayashi. And Vern's car will be pulling off onto the grass, provided he doesn't take out Ollie Berman, but he does take out Ollie Berman. He forced him off, and Ollie Berman's car is terminally wrecked, and that's him out of the race. Berman will be livid, as will the new team boss of the squad. We'll see what the stewards say on that, but it's been a miserable day for the Prost team. So Vern goes no further, and we'll wait to see what the stewards say on the matter. As we're just waiting for Vern to be pulled away by the marshal. It's an engine failure for the Frenchman. Kirkwood has gone up into 15th position. Now, what will the stewards say on the incident involving Vern and Berman? We're not seeing anything at the moment, and I would assume that it's going to go down as a racing incident. Here's Latifi in the lead with 11 laps remaining. There we see Joseph Newcon has got... Well, I've just seen a yellow flag hanging around there. Ragunathan's just been allowed... Well, that was Mick Schumacher going through on Ragunathan. I don't know whether Ragunathan had hit Shovel there. It looks like he has, and it's forced him to come into the pits. He's got a loose wheel. It's not going to be any points coming in the way of him. And so no points it will be for Ragunathan unless he can try and go for a fastest lap. And Van Torres off the track with engine failure. He was running in the points. That point is no longer his or Onyx's. Reliability really is kicking in now to these cars as the laps continue to tick down. So that's another one gone from this race. We are down to what I believe is 14 runners. I suppose with Ragunathan now on his own at the back, he could try and go for a fastest lap point. So we've got one BAR at the back and one at the front. Rosenquist second, and it's Newgarden, Dixon, McLaughlin, who's done well to get up to 5th place from the back of the grid. Jack Aiken is 6th, and it's Bamber, Ericsson, Schumacher and Evans in the points. Bamber's time penalty will drop him down to 8th behind Ericsson, but with him being on the fresher tyres, it's likely he'll pull out the gap by the time the race is over. Now 11 cars made it to the end, including Grosjean, who was excluded in Zhuhai. We've got 14 left here. So Vern and Bohemia are not going to be scoring. The other 4 title contenders are set to be. Rosenquist is set to go into the championship lead, which will be some reprieve for Arrows, who have had a really disappointing mid-season. And Kyle Kirkwood is on fire in the Arrows. And it's going to be another non-finish for him, unfortunately. And there he goes, out of the race. And Ragunathan isn't distracted by that. And I wonder what that will mean for him and for the Arrows team. Will Topher Smith decide on a driver change for the next round, because this is costing the team dear. So there's Rosenquist in P2, which he will happily take. So we have 13 left in this. Gap between Latifi and Rosenquist is 14 seconds. Only Mechanical Gremlins can stop Latifi from becoming the 20th different race winner in the Grand Prix World Series this season. Nine laps to go. I want to keep an eye on how Raghunathan is getting on. He'll be going for a fastest lap, and he's got the fastest lap now. Has Matafir Raghunathan 1 minute 29.1, and the championship point of El Bamba and Leitenhaus is no longer theirs. He'll be going to the BAR team. On the fresher tyres, he may try and go for another fastest lap, but not if he makes lockups like that. Trying to hunt down Kamui Kobayashi, who's running in 12th, and also Brendan Hartley, who is angling for a point. Now, Brendan Hartley hasn't scored a point since Dijon Burgoyne. He might get a point out of this in the final 8 laps, who knows? But at the moment, Pacific are just simply relying on other teams to flounder. And McLaughlin has got through on Dixon, and I think Dixon may well be in a spot of trouble here, because that was not a genuine overtake that you see on a racetrack. And there you go. Yeah, I think Dixon has hit problems in the Minardi. So McLaughlin goes through into 4th place. Dixon, I think, is going to be out of the race. And it's disappointing for Minardi, who had hoped to get at least one car to the end this time, and it's not going to be. Now, what is the problem for? Is it a loose wheel, or is it something more internal than that? Needs to be careful here, does Dixon. Stays out of the way of Aiken and Bamper. Next car behind Dixon will be Marcus Ericsson. And Bamper is stuck behind Aiken now, and that could hurt him. Dixon will just want to get that car back to the pits. Feels like an eternity has to go all the way around with that problem. Latifi is 7 laps away from his maiden Grand Prix World Series victory. BAR are about to get both of their full-time drivers on the top step of the podium this season. And Bamber trying to find a way through on Jet Aiken into turn 1. Can't quite do it there. Is he alongside enough? The answer is no. And Dixon remarkably has been able to get that car back to the pits. But he will fall out of the points. And that promotes Brendan Hartley up into 10th place. Pacific could well be getting another point out of this, just as Pietro Fittipaldi did in the last race, although Dixon has just come out of the pits on his fresher rubber, and I don't think it's going to be too long before Dixon gets onto the rear of Hartley. In all honesty, he's going to be on much fresher tyres, he's going to be much quicker. So Ericsson's up to 7th place. As it stands, he will remain 7th because Bamber has managed to make up the 10 seconds with his penalty. Yeah, Dixon's only 1.1 seconds behind Hartley, so he'll be on the tail of him in a moment. He might even go for a fastest lap. So whilst he gets 1 point for the fastest lap, he might get another for 10th position. And there is Aiken, who will have Bamber alongside him. There he goes, look. Bamber round the outside. Aiken holds him off again. And Aiken doing another fine job today. Frustrating for Bamber, who had hopes for more than what he'll be getting. And this man is looking forward to being in the lead in the Drivers' Championship again. Felix Rosenqvist from Sweden. He's already won this season. As we see Dixon, he's about to go through here on Brendan Hartley. I don't think this will be a contest. Dixon through into the points. And to the disappointment of Pacific team manager Kevin McMullen, it's unlikely that Hartley is going to come away with a point from this. Rosenqvist still on for a second place finish. He's lucky, it might be on the tail of Mitch Evans on the last lap. Latifi is 5 laps away from victory, ahead of Rosenqvist, ahead of Newgarden, who will continue to make up ground in the title battle, with Brahimi not scoring and Verne not scoring. And Bamber is still struggling to get through on Jack Aiken for position. He can't afford too many mistakes here, El Bamber, otherwise he could end up losing 7th position or 6th place to Marcus Ericsson. As it stands, Rosenqvist will lead the championship on 129 points. In second position will be El Bamber on 114. The gap will be 15 points. Buemi will be down to third on 111. And whilst I say that, Scott Dixon does get the point for the fastest lap, so it's now no longer BAR's to keep. And we're going to think he's through on Kobayashi for 12th place. We'll be hoping just for any more mechanical gremlins involving other drivers to get anything from this. So Buemi will be third on the 111. Scott McLaughlin, or Joseph Newgarden perhaps, no, it'll be McLaughlin, who will be in 4th place on 112 points. 102 points, I should say. And Newgarden will be in 5th on 98, and Verne, with his pole position point, will be on 90 in 6th place. As far as the team's championship is concerned, as Bamber still struggles to get through on Aiken at turn 1. Prost only picking up 1 point today. Leighton House are on course to get a 3rd and a 5th, or 6th rather. 23 championship points coming in the way of theirs. 212 points they'll be on, so they'll be in the lead of the team's championship by 11 points. Dixon posts another new fast up the race in his pursuit of Mitch Evans to get another point. I think he's on the tail of Mitch Evans already, believe it or not. Incredibly quick on fresh tyres in the closing stages for the Minardi, and that explains why Mitch Evans has picked up an engine problem in the Manor, and his race is over in the closing stages. And there goes the 2 championship points, and then the 1. And this will allow Brendan Hartley to go up into the points, but he's got Matthew Ragunathan right behind him. So I would still say it's unlikely that Hartley will come away with a point, but we'll see. It's race over for Mitch Evans. He'll still be classified as a finisher, but he won't be picking up any points today, and neither will Manor. So whilst one car goes out airborne at the start, another pulls out with mechanical gremlins right at the very end. And Mitch Evans will need to be very careful here, because he'll have Brendan Hartley and Matthew Ragunathan coming through in a moment. Unless he can get that car back to the pit lane. He's gone past it now. It's race over for Mitch Evans. And in fact, McGunnithan's got through on Hartley already. So there's just adds salt into the wounds for team manager Kevin McMullen. And Evans is the next to go. And that will help Von Mattel and Mars Colella nicely, because with the positions as they are, Von Mattel will get 6 points, Mars Colella will get 4. Von Mattel will go on to 39, Mars Colella will go on to 42 points. So it'll be 3 points between those two teams. And Mana will not be scoring. So it's given Mars Colella and Von Mattel some hope of staying in League One next season. Onyx won't be scoring today. And then we can just see Newgarden and McLaughlin nose to tail as the laps continue to tick down. Dixon is in 9th place. He wants to try and catch Mick Schumacher if he can, but the gap's way too big for him to make up. I'm looking at the gap between Bamber and Ericsson, and the gap has come back down underneath 10 seconds. So Bamber is about to lose 2 championship points to Marcus Ericsson and Von Mattel. This will please Ewan Gale even more. Von Mattel need the points more than Leighton House do. Nick Latifi has started the final lap. We were conscious of how far he was about to go, and it looks like he's about to go the full distance. Right on board with him. What a drive it has been from Nicholas Latifi, fending off all the adversary of mechanical gremlins and of those he's been fighting with on circuit, to prove why VAR can still fight it out amongst the big boys. Knowing that they will remain in League One next season most realistically, but they want to end the season in style and pick up more wins along the way, and today they're about to add to it. But this man has never been able to stand on the top step. Just the one podium position all season, failing to finish in 8 of the last 9 races. But today, in his 13th Grand Prix start, Nicholas Latifi is about to stand on the top step. Nicholas Latifi for BAR exits the last corner, streaks down the pit straight to win the League One Autopolis Grand Prix. BAR are race winners once again, but for the first time, Nicholas Latifi is on the top step. Felix Rosenquist, nearly 20 seconds behind, comes home in 2nd place, and he is the new championship leader. Joseph Newgarden holds off Scott McLaughlin, who completes a brilliant drive from the back of the grid to 4th place. Jet Aiken will hold on ahead of Earl Bamber, very close to the line, but I want to see whether Marcus Ericsson is able to get the gap back down. I don't think he'll be able to, unfortunately, so he'll just miss out on a couple more points. He does miss out, so Ericsson will be 7th, Bamber remains in 6th place, Mick Schumacher 8th, ahead of Scott Dixon, who gets to the end of the race for once, and Matthew McGunnithan will pick up the last point in 10th place of having to pit for repairs. And it's hard luck on Brendan Hartley and Pacific. They miss out on points, as does Kamui Kobayashi and Simtek. It's a win for Nicholas Latifi at last. BAR on the top step in Autopolis. Second place for Felix Rosenqvist. He moves into the lead of the Drivers' Championship with 3 races to go. Joseph Newgarden is third. Scott McLaughlin fourth. Jack Aiken is fifth, ahead of Earl Bamber. Marcus Ericsson picking up some important points for Von Mattel in seventh. Likewise for Mick Schumacher and Marscott Lola in eighth. Scott Dixon ninth. And Matvey Raghunathan in the final points-paying position in 10th place. Brendan Hartley in 11th, just missing out, as does Kamui Kobayashi in 12th, who was the last of those to take the checkered flag. Mitch Evans classified in 13th place. Kyle Kirkwood, Lawrence Vantort, Jean-Eric Verne, who had lost after being in the lead, Ollie Berman, Pietro Fittipaldi, Kevin Estra, Christopher Bell, who retired in the HRT. He could have been the race winner today. Danny Kafia out also for Marscott Lola. Antonio Giovinazzi, Sebastian Buemi out early on. That's a really important one. Very lucky as well to avoid a race ban. Felipe Nasser, Rafael Marcello, and Shane van Gisbergen were the rest to not finish. Jean-Eric Verne got the point for pole position. The fast lap went to Scott Dixon in the closing stages. Prost, leaders of the Drivers' and Teams' Championship, not anymore. It's Felix Rosenqvist for Arrows in the Drivers' Championship lead, and it's Leighton who take over in the Teams' Championship. Prost have it all to do in the remaining races. They cannot afford any more reliability issues. Otherwise, they are pretty much handing it over to their rivals on a plate. It's time to run down on the championship standings after another exciting League One race here in Autopolis. It's time to run down on the Drivers' and Teams' Championships in the voice of Topher Smith. And I'll see you for the next round in Sipoon in South Korea. Topher, over to you.
Well, this was absolutely unprecedented going into the season. 20 different race winners across both leagues. Nicholas Latifi becomes the latest name in a long line of Grand Prix winners this season. It just goes to show how competitive this championship can be, and we absolutely love it for it. So congratulations to Latifi for his first Grand Prix World Series victory, and congratulations to Will Knight and the BAR team for their second of the season. But this race could be quite significant as far as both championships are concerned. Felix Rosenqvist takes over at the top of the driver's standings on 129 points. Earl Bamber in second on 114, and Sebastian Buemi having another poor race today and retiring earlier on, 111 points for the Swiss, and he'll want to get himself into finishing positions for the rest of the season to stand at any chance of getting that championship. Scott McLaughlin with a fine drive today from the back of the grid. He's up to fourth in the championship at 102 points. Joseph Newgarden fifth in the Leighton House on 98, and Jean-Eric Verne, what could have been for him today without that spin. 90 points for the Frenchman. Kamui Kobayashi on 59, Mahavir Raghunathan on 55, Raffaele Marcello on 54, and Nicholas Latifi with his victory today dumps Scott Dixon out of the top 10, the Canadian now on 52 points in this campaign. And in the team standings, Leighton House moves to the top of the championship, 112 points for Chris Kavanaugh's team, now ahead of Prost on 201, a poor day for Tom Cairns' team. Arrows in third at 157, and the green line there denoting those teams that are officially safe from relegation. So Leighton House, Prost and Arrows will not be relegated. It wasn't looking likely that they would anyway, but the maths now says that they cannot be relegated. HRT fourth on 140 points ahead of Force India on 109. BAR with their victories today moves up to sixth on 107, ahead of Simtek on 102 and Minardi on 84 points. And the red line there underneath Minardi denoting the teams that can still win the championship this year. So officially out of the running for the championship, Onyx, Manor, Marscar Lola, Von Mittal and Pacific Grand Prix, but they will be entwined in their own battle to avoid relegation into League Two for next season. Well, it has been another fantastic day of action here. Autopolis has absolutely delivered in the Grand Prix World Series. Two fantastic action-packed races, and we hope that you all enjoyed it at home. Next time up, we will be racing in South Korea at the Sipoon circuit, a circuit which was due to be constructed for Formula One, but never completed. However, it was completed for Grand Prix 2, so we will race it. Until then, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have your company today. I'm Topher Smith. Take care.